Together with the Rolex Submariner, the Omega Speedmaster is most likely one of the most famous and recognizable watches on the planet and in the history of watches. Let's see after 3 years why I bought an Omega Speedmaster and which model exactly. Hello, I'm Jack and welcome to a new episode. Let me remind you to please put a like to this video and help me growing this channel, subscribing and hit the bell icon. Also, quick wristwatch check. I'm wearing my Rolex Explorer, soon to be reviewed on this channel. So this week into the limelight we have the Omega Speedmaster Professional from 1992. 3 years ago I had the opportunity to buy my first top tier watch. It was down to an Omega Speedmaster or Rolex Explorer. I bought the Rolex Explorer and now this year I had this opportunity, a fantastic chance. I found this particular version, particular reference, and let's see why I picked up the PIC number is 3590.50. The Explorer and the Speedy, the mountains and the space, is a perfect combo for the perfect two-watch collection in my opinion. Maybe I'm missing out on the one that represents water, a diver, but I don't know, maybe this year or later in the year. One reason beyond the other 5 I'll be mentioning in a short time, it's obviously I've kind of always felt a connection to the space exploration era. Some of my favorite movies are set in space, like the old ones like 2001 Space Odyssey or the newest First Man with Ryan Gosling, which is actually very much connected to my Moonwatch, the last one obviously. And yes, I know that this model never actually landed on the moon, yes I know it, but who cares, right? I don't have the money to spend on a 321 or the pre-moon versions from the 60s, but so. Anyways, here are my 5 reasons why I bought this version, this PIC number of the Omega Speedmaster Pro. In my search for this watch, I much refer to this amazing piece written on Fratello Watches magazine by a reader in 2017. So I'll leave the link in the description and check that out because that was right the base. 3 years ago I started a search for this one and then I pulled the trigger on this PIC code. First reason first, the vintage patina. I wanted it to be vintage, not new nor modern, so with the Attribution dial. I've always been intrigued by those yellowish hands and brownish hour markers. That aging color has always spoken to me. I like more the idea of history and personal story of the item I'm wearing on my wrist than the tool itself. So I don't care if mine is so old that I cannot see at night. It's at night I just take a look at my iPhone, whatever. I'm not a Taliban of watches, like I don't have to check the time on my 1992 Omega Speedmaster Pro, because otherwise I'm not a watch lover, who cares? So to get this creamy Attribution dial, I had to go back in time before 1997, the year they introduced the Super Luminova and the 1861 movement, which is still in production nowadays. Second reason, 17 plus 1 ghost, so 18 jewel 861 movement. And if you go back in time to search for a 321, as I said before, the ones from the 60s and the 70s, you spend more than 10k. And I don't have 10k to spend on a watch. It had to be 861 because the 1861, the 8161 came after 97 Super Luminova, so no way. So it was 861, so 80s and 90s most likely. From some online forums I found out that the 861 movement had always been in copper until 1990. When the caliber was changed into gold-plated to this newer 3590.50 reference or PIC code, in 1992 Omega added an 18th jewel to the movement without writing it on the gold-plated caliber. So it's kind of special, see? Then the third point, The vintage bracelet. I like it, I love it. I don't like the modern one because it's too blingy for me. It's polished, while this has 5 completely brushed rows. Right after 1997, with the introduction of the 1861 movement, had the new bracelet. It's a brush, polish, brush, polish, brush, or something like that. But it's too blingy for me. I went for the discreet 1497 bracelet instead of opting for the 1499 bracelet. Fourth point, the Hazelite crystal. I wanted Hazelite plexiglass to get a more vintage feeling than the more modern version with sapphire crystal glass and caseback. It's historically more accurate because NASA brought Hazelite in space, as it tends to break, does, yes, more than is the sapphire, but when it breaks, it's just hard plastic. You can imagine what can happen inside a spacecraft with no gravity, with tiny and thousands pieces of glass flying all over the place. It's a fucking mess. And with Hazelite, you get this special bottom of the bottle look. And yes, it tends to scratch way more than the crystal version. It breaks, but it doesn't bend, the sapphire version. And there's always a polywatch if you cannot stand the scratches, but the scratches for me do add an even more vintage feeling to the whole thing. And I wanted this case back, the first watch worn on the moon, instead of, you know, glazing through the case back and actually see the beautiful movement inside. I don't know, it speaks to my heart, this case back, more tool-tastic and less aesthetically pleasing. Then the fifth point, manual winding. It's a mechanical watch, but not automatic. It's a manual winding watch, so you have to wind it every 2 days, every 1 day and a half. Well, I wind it every single morning because it gets even more vintage feeling, but vintage vibes. Hear the vintage vibes with me. Oh yes, the vintage vibes. Huh? See? Negative point of the Omega Speedmaster only has 5 bar of water resistance, which means you cannot take a bath with it, you cannot jump into the pool, you might not want to have a shower with it, but who cares? You're going into space, you're not going into the sea with this one. Did I convince you? I'll convince myself. Do you agree with me that the vintage Omega Speedmaster from the 90s are now better, but they speak a lot more than the modern Speedmasters? Well, this is my opinion. Let me know down in the comments below what you think about this watch. And please don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel, hit the bell icon, and I'll catch you in the next one. Arrivederci. Ciao, alla prossima.